right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
The internet definitely won't let us forget about February 28th, 2025, when President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky had a legendary showdown in the Oval Office. The whole thing was like watching a viral meme unfold in real time, except this one had some serious stakes. Zelensky walked in like he was the president of the United States, exuding that I run this place energy. He was not backing down on his stance about fighting Russia, even sending a little side-eye warning to the US, saying America would feel it too. On the other side, Trump and his vice president were visibly frustrated, with Trump letting Zelensky know that his approach to the conflict might just risk dragging the world into World War III. The tension was palpable, and the showdown took a turn when Trump flat out expressed his dissatisfaction with how Ukraine was handling the situation.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Today.
As the meeting unraveled, the tension between the two leaders only grew, making it feel like a live-action political thriller. The meeting ended abruptly. The agreement wasn't signed, and right after the meeting, instead of having the prepared meal, Trump kicked Zelensky out of the White House.
Where a meeting of two heads of states comes to an end in such a disastrous fashion. And in the last few minutes, we're also hearing from Fox News in the United States that a White House official has told them, and I quote, Trump kicked out Zelensky. He did not walk off on his own. The rare minerals deal was not signed.
Back to the White House, Jackie Heinrich has some new information for us. Jackie.
Yeah, I just went up to the press area to get an understanding of what we're watching. This is what I was told. The president has kicked Zelensky out of the White House. His delegation right now is telling him that he's got to go home. The president felt disrespected. Officials in the room felt that beyond the language barrier that we've heard some discussion about, Zelensky's body language, shrugging and eye rolling, was ungrateful, disrespectful, and the president feels that Zelensky is not ready for peace, and he can come back when he's ready to talk about peace, but he's not in that position right now, and Zelensky is being told he's got to go. The lunch that they were supposed to have is sitting right outside the hallway, and the press staffers are going to be eating that lunch. This is really pretty incredible. We see the
Jackie,
SUV,
hang on with us one
Zelensky's
moment.
SUV.
If you look to your left, you're going to see him. Let's watch.
Mr. President, is the deal off? President Zelensky, can you tell us what happened?
And it didn't end there. The global reactions were swift, with the European leaders scrambling to show their support for Zelensky. He quickly hopped on a plane to London. There he was met with open arms and promises of continued backing. But here's the kicker. Why didn't Zelensky turn to Europe for the hundreds of billions in aid instead of relying on the American taxpayer? We've been footing the bill, sending weapons, money, and resources, all while Zelensky seemed to act like he was owed something, which honestly came off as pretty ungrateful. It's one thing to be grateful for support, but when your survival depends on U.S. taxpayer dollars and the sacrifices of American citizens, it feels like a punch in the gut. And let's be real, the money we've sent could have been used to improve our own country, our roads, our healthcare, our schools. Instead, we're still sending checks across the globe while Americans are left wondering what we're getting out of this deal. On top of all that, the American mainstream media seems to be working overtime as Zelensky's PR team, acting like they're Ukrainians and not Americans. The spin they've been putting out is questionable at best. It's like they're giving Zelensky a free pass. It's one thing to support an ally, but when that support feels so one-sided, it can stir up some serious resentment.
Well, what happened? Zelensky decided he wanted to invite the media in, and Donald J. Trump and Vance was like, that's fine. We ain't got nothing to hide. We don't know why you want the media in here in our meeting, but okay, that's fine. We don't care. So the media was there, so we saw the whole thing unfold. What really happens behind closed doors when you see them presidents and leaders really negotiating and going back and forth, that's really what be happening behind closed doors. It's not nice. It's not pretty. Okay, I digress. So everyone was there, so they got to witness it, and they were basically saying, Trump said, look, we want a ceasefire. We want peace talks, all of that. But what's going to happen, you're going to give us a stake in your minerals. Because we've sent you a lot of money. We sent you troops to a war that you knew you weren't going to win. So in order to kind of even the field, kind of get that back, how about you just give us a stake in your minerals? Well, Zelensky started kind of talking with a little air in his chest. I think he had a lot of pride. I think that's what it was.
Zelensky disrespected Trump because he came here trying to play hardball because he felt he had another deal on the table with Europe. So Europe actually offered Zelensky a similar deal for their rare earth minerals and just the overall minerals they have in their land. They also called it a win-win. So basically, because he felt that he had some leverage, because he has another deal on the table with the country or the European Union, who has given far less aid to them than the U.S. alone, he came and tried to strong-arm our president. That is why this was disrespectful. Because he came here from a place of arrogance, his posture and everything. A lot of you, if you haven't been in business meetings, you wouldn't be able to note that. Like his posture was incredibly wrong. He literally disregarded our president. Everything about his demeanor, everything about it was wrong. And then also to come and not do what you said, which was that you were going to sign the deal. Incredibly irresponsible. And then what we just saw is that his leadership in his country just demanded his impeachment, citing his diplomatic failure with Donald Trump. So they're saying that he basically has found himself in a real storm with the Ukrainian MP Oleksandr Dubinsky. He launched a scathing attack on Zelensky, labeling the meeting a diplomatic failure and the final act of the regime's collapse.
It is in my personal opinion that Trump is about to pull the United States out of this war. You see, the AP released a statement saying that Zelensky said this war is going to continue on for a very, very long time. That means he's not interested in negotiating a peace deal. And Trump said in his statement today, if that is in fact the truth, then Zelensky has a problem.
The United Kingdom signed an agreement the day after the Oval Office showdown on March 1st to provide Ukraine with a loan worth $2.8 billion. And by Monday, Trump ordered a pause on the money and U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Listen, Zelensky should stop asking for help from America, and he should go get all the money and military aid from Europe. We've given him hundreds of billions in aid and military support, while these people are hopping up and down for a $2.8 billion loan. Like, really, I don't know who's the biggest idiot right now, Zelensky or the United States, for allowing this man to take all of this money from us. We get no money back. While his wife was living it up with shopping sprees, soldiers are losing their lives by the thousands. While Zelensky and his wife got access to all of this money, and they can't even account for all of the money. No, this is absolutely crazy. And what's more crazy is deranged anti-American Americans acting like Ukraine's street team. I think they should all move to Ukraine if they care so much about Ukrainians. Acting like they don't see that Ukraine is already losing this war and Zelensky is doing everything he can to continue fighting instead of bringing peace to his country.
Fascinating that J.D. Vance, I guess maybe for the first time, decided to just jump in a meeting and take over a meeting where Donald Trump is running that meeting. Really interesting. So many things deeply disturbing about that meeting, but you don't have to take that from me. Just look at Marco Rubio slouched on the couch. Well, the reaction to that stunning meeting, that sickening meeting, was swift. The Wall Street Journal editorial board wrote in part this: the point of the meeting was supposed to be progress toward an honorable peace for Ukraine, and the event's winner was Russia's Vladimir Putin. But as with the war, Mr. Zelensky didn't start this Oval Office exchange. Was he supposed to tolerate an extended public denigration of the Ukrainian people who've been fighting a war for survival for the 3 years?
I'm just tickled pink at these people who are just so outraged by the recent conversation that has gone viral between Trump and Zelensky. My question is this: how do you think these conversations go when people are talking about billions and billions of dollars? How do you think these conversations go? Of course, we, the general public, do not have a front row seat as we just did. But something tells me that this is not the first time this type of conversation has taken place, and it's likely to be the last. So the selective outrage, y'all can miss me with it. This is why they don't bring a lot of the real news to the forefront, because they know the American people cannot handle it. Y'all crashing out for no reason. It's very odd.
It's honestly wild how the same people who usually preach anti-war rhetoric are suddenly all in for Zelensky, who's essentially advocating for a prolonged conflict. The whole situation doesn't add up, and yet here we are watching this flip-flop in real time. It's almost like a plot twist you didn't see coming, except it's happening on a global stage with massive consequences. But hey, I digress. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about this below. Special thank you to Rob P. Thank you, Rob, for your contributions to the channel. Also, shout out to Edmund and Elmer for your continued support. You can show your support as well. The link to PayPal is below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and share.